All right, so are you ready to go?
Kuna Matata.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Eugene Honrath with Shadow Warriors, and I've got Steve Katz. That's how you say it, right?
Yep, that's it.
And
Perfect.
then, do you have an official company name?
Well, I call it Kilimanjaro Creations.
Okay, okay.
But that's more for just official purposes.
Now, Kilimanjaro is a mountain or mountain range.
It's one mountain. Actually, it's an extinct volcano.
Extinct volcano. Okay.
So, and that is in Tanzania and not in Kenya, but you can see it from both borders.
Okay. Well, so tell me where you're at now, where you're from, and what you do.
Well, I talk funny, so yeah, I'm from South Africa. I've been in the USA in West Palm Beach it's now my 10th year. So
nice.
I am a full-blown citizen of the USA.
Welcome.
Thank you. Proud father of two awesome kids.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
So I've got my 5-year-old Madden and my nearly 2-year-old Noah. Yeah. So yeah, my hands are full, man.
Like they grow up fast, bro.
I tell you, blink of an eye, man. Like
they grow up fast, which people say, but you don't actually realize until you're like in it.
The thing is, you're seeing them every day, so you're not seeing like
I have a 4.5-year-old, and then you have your 5-year-old, so we kind of like crossed a little bit, and we knew each other, and it's an interesting thing. And you're not there yet because I have an 8-year-old, but when they start to get like 7, 8, they start to become, and wait for this, they start to become a little self-sufficient.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. They're not like, daddy, wake up. Daddy, I need to, my son calls everything cookies. So he's like, I need some cookies. I'm like, son, it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's the summer. What do you want? He's like, I need some cookies. I'm like, let's go back to bed, buddy. Come on.
I know. We just got over the sleeping in our bed. That was really rough to break. I don't know if it was rougher for the kid or for my wife, but yeah, it was rough.
It's funny. My younger brother Raymond, my parents my stepmom and my dad let him sleep in their bed, and they were like, we're done with this. And he was so stubborn. He went from the bed to the floor to outside of their door to inside of his room on his floor, and then into his bed.
Oh, that's exactly what my week has been. Exactly.
Wait, so you have both of them or just one of them in your bed?
Just one. No, the Noah's, look, he's the second kid, so he's choked on Lego. He has eaten dog food. He has.
Yeah, you after the first one, you tend to be like,
yeah,
just raise yourself, just do it.
And he's pretty chilled. He likes his sleep.
Oh, okay.
So we're pretty lucky there.
Nice. Well, I think some people, it's hard to. They're like, yeah, I got a 10-year-old in my bed, and I'm like, that's like another adult.
It's rough. I'm a third born, the last born of 3.
Okay.
So I got Mickey Mouse back in South Africa. That's all I had, or Pink Panther, and that was me. Go to bed.
yeah. There you go. Well, I mean, my parents were like, wait, you want to sleep in our bed? No, get out of here. Go to your own bed. Kind of a deal.
Never happened.
No.
But yeah.
I'll say that if we're talking about like husband and wives, I am cool with the kids laying in bed. I can sleep through anything. My wife from day one was like, no, it's not happening.
That started and then it ended because it was so much work to end it. But we've got a good cop, bad cop routine, and it works well.
Nice. Oh, wait. So is he on the floor right now or like on a cot?
No, now he's back in his bed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Last night we had to go to a cocktail party, and we came back late, and the kid
Okay.
had to be up early for school, and so he wasn't a happy kid this morning, but he understood when he got home. It was in the bed.
Oh, gotcha. All right. So you make knives and what else?
Well, I don't want to make knives anymore.
Why?
Well, I want to make spears.
I know you want. I know you love making spears.
Yeah, it's an an infatuation, should I say, that I have with this damn thing.
Is it so? So you're from South Africa, right?
Born and bred.
So is that? Tell me where the spear is. This, did you actually ever use a spear, or was it just a symbol that you find like empowering?
I worked with a lot of communities back home. I was in conservation industries, and travel and tourism and agriculture, basically. So I would work with a lot of rural communities and setting up programs where they benefited the reserves that they boarded, basically. So we could also have an employment force for travel and tourism, which is the number one, pre-COVID was the number one earner of the GDP earner for the country, or most African countries.
Right.
And so I was operating in 9 different African states at one point. So
what were you doing?
Various different things, from setting up anti-poaching programs, which was the main root of our business. Travel, hospitality training for undeveloped communities. So getting, cooks, chefs, housekeeping agents, those type of jobs going in rural communities where they have a wealth that they don't really notice. And it was always eye-opening to see that being explored by the travel and tourism industry.
Well, I think sometimes when you grow up in it, or in a situation, or in an area, you take it for granted.
100%. I think so.
And they probably don't have a lot of connection too, right? Not a lot of internet, broadband.
Now it's very different, but yeah, when I was a kid, when I was young, internet was still like 1999.
Yeah.
So, now it's very different. Now it's very different. Cellular communication in sub-Saharan Africa exploded in the last 6 years.
Do you think that that's helped them become, like, realize that the resources that they have and that they can make money on them, or?
I think look, you've got to take into account South Africa's a very old country. So the development in their travel and tourism goes back way before 1950.
Right.
So a lot of these guys, a lot of the land is well established. It's well developed for this purpose. Wildlife sanctuaries that were the first ever proclaimed in any law in any country we're in South Africa. So I think it's a very different model that the world follows, and a lot of Africa follows it. So there's always that view of how to not exploit. Well, now it's exploitation, but I don't want to say exploitation, but I want to say how to grow a base of something.
Sure, and use the resources around you to take care of your family, to 100%. Build a community, to make money. I mean, I think that there is. See, I think sometimes people think that it's either you don't touch it and you leave it alone, like don't ever go there, don't touch it, or you're completely exploiting it, you're burning it down, you're turning it into rubble. I think there can be a kind of a combo in the middle.
There's so much gray area. nothing's black and white.
No.
And it's once you travel the world
Yep.
and you do it wherever it is, Southeast Asia, India, Europe, wherever, everyone's got their subtle nuances that are those gray areas.
Yeah.
And without travel and tourism, I don't think there are nations of this world.
Yeah. Well, it's also, that also speaks to the fact that someone else's view and the way that they take care of something may be completely different in America or Canada or Africa or Asia, and accepting those differences and not thinking that this is the only thing that matters is, I think, a big, you can only learn that by even just traveling outside of your county, your state, your country, to other places.
100%. Yeah, life experience, man. I mean,
Sure.
college universities can only teach you so much. I mean, it's all about life experience.
Yeah, you definitely see a different view of the world and your surroundings when you travel.
Yeah.
And you travel in ways that's not like, I hate to say this, but it's very typical. Like people are like, I love going to Cancun because it's just like America. And I'm like, well, that's kind of the problem. Like, you should be traveling places where it's a little bit different. Where,
yeah. Or I don't say like go out like and camp in the woods like me, but but go and experience something different. Go eat a communal meal with your hands, or pick olives in a field.
Yeah.
Just have some fun.
Yeah, and just view it in a different way.
And that can be done on your doorstep, dude. I mean, wherever you live, there's something to experience.
That's a good point. I think that you have to be open, and you have to. I had a friend who lived here in Tampa and said, I'm moving out of Tampa because there's no culture. And I'm like, Matt, you have to go see the culture. Like, you have to go experience it. There's culture around. You just have to go around.
Yeah, well, you got to get out of the gated community mentality. That's something West Palm Beach has taught me.
Yeah. Wait. So hold on.
Okay,
I know we were talking about spears, and now we're talking about something else. How the heck did you land in West Palm Beach?
Okay, so a couple of months before I got married, my wife phoned me up and said, she's selected for the green card lottery.
Okay.
So I'm okay. Let's process and see what happens. So we processed, and we were selected, and we were told we had at that point 6 months to come into the US.
So your wife is from South Africa as well.
Yeah.
Man, I thought you meant some like American broad on vacation and decided to stay.
No, quite the opposite. I married a good Jewish girl that I knew was at school with.
So you guys won the lottery, 6 months to leave. Was it like 6 months? Sounds like a long time, but it's not.
It's not. It's quick. And I was the last person you would have ever thought in South Africa would have packed up and left. Like, I'm totally the African idealist. Like,
that was one of the first things that I realized about you. Not the accent. I mean, the accent's easy, right? I mean, you can tell you're from South Africa just by the accent. But what struck me meeting you in person at Blade the first time was like, man, this guy is like South Africa.
Wakanda all the way, baby. Yeah. Well, look, it's not just a country. I mean, it's different. It becomes an identity.
Sure.
Growing up, the time I did was two different South Africas. I went from apartheid South Africa to Nelson Mandela's new South Africa, then into total destabilization of a country, and now you see what goes on now. And
is it that is it that like what's going on right now? So I only know a very small amount and I'm a little
Yeah,
ignorant about it,
well,
but is it the separation of the different South Africas that's the problem, or what? Like what's going on in at least in your view?
okay.
Slightly.
All right. So there's a multitude of
Sure. You can make it easy or
social
you can make it more
issues. Yeah,
complicated.
100%. And everybody probably knows some form of its history.
Sure.
But right now, there's a multitude of issues going on. The African National Congress has been in power for nearly 30 years, and there's electricity defaults. We have the highest electricity cost in the country, in the world. We can't get it right to build facilities. The money just keeps getting stolen. It's the classic scenario like our neighbor Zimbabwe, but the pot is bigger in South Africa and always has been bigger. And the crossing paths that we're witnessing in South Africa in the last recent weeks with all the riots and looting, which the looting's a byproduct of just the poverty of the country.
Sure.
The main thing we're seeing an ancient tribal clash going on in the disguise of the African National Congress. We're having the Xhosa factions, which are the president and his faction, which are the oldest of the African National Congress. They are the people that found it. And the Zulu, who came in years later during the struggle, who are more numerous in all spheres of life in South Africa. And you're seeing a clash internally in the ANC between these two factions.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's just the most basic way of, because it's way more complex.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as it always is. Yeah. Do you think that it's something that this current unrest will strike something that leads it to the path of a better tomorrow, or does South Africa have like a bumpier road ahead and then figure it out?
I think South Africa, like we want to remember as a rainbow nation, is always possible because of its people.
Sure. Well, there's people like you and other South Africans that I've known, I think theory, I think
it's going to change. I think it's going to change. I think it's going to become very much. I wouldn't say. I think it's going to become something like where the different provinces are going to become the balances in the provinces of South Africa are going to change.
Gotcha. Well, you have a unique perspective because you've
look. If they got their act together and prosecuted for the corruption of the past and stop the corruption of the future and properly build a country, I think there is hope. Look, right. COVID hasn't been easy for the country either.
For any country.
That's a whole other dynamic that is like really, excuse my French, fucking everything up.
Yeah. Oh, sure. It's putting gasoline on issues that were just smoldering.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I think there's always hope.
Sure.
I have to believe there's always hope.
All right. Well, I mean, I won't hammer you on the South African thing too much.
It's a tough one because my choice to leave wasn't done because the country is falling apart.
No, yeah.
My choices to leave at the time were, hey, well, let's see what goes of it.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you guys get in West Palm?
So my mother-in-law has been here for 7.5 years.
Oh, okay. All right. That's because my mom, we moved from the Northeast in the United States, And I was in college. And my mom's like, "Hey, we're moving to Tampa," and I'm like, where's Tampa? Like, there was no like football, no hockey, like nothing really going on. And she's like, "Yeah, we're moving to Tampa," and I'm like, "Okay, I have to look that up." So if you pick a place in Florida in general or the United States, West Palm and Tampa aren't especially 10 years ago, aren't necessarily like where you're gonna
Well,
hit it.
there's more to it because her aunt and uncle are here and they're well established with their own medical practices, and
Nice.
so
Okay.
there was enough around us to start again.
Is it
Leaving 30 years behind you and coming for something new, you needed that support.
you still and there's family here and you guys still have that support and all that?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, then so you can't. I don't think that you can deny that support is important, especially when you start to have kids.
Oh, totally. I mean, we're thinking right now of actually leaving West Palm and going up to St. Augustine.
Oh yeah, you're telling me that. Why?
Um, Value.
Okay.
Right now, the property I own here is got the property I've got now has got good value.
Okay.
And
And what is it about the HOAs harassing you?
no, it's really, look, there's not much they can really do. It's a guy
Yeah.
with a hobby in a garage.
True.
So unless they want to spend the time and effort and taking me to court in front of a judge on their own personal lawsuit, by all means.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a free country.
When you're operating on the truth, I don't think it really matters all that much. A hobby's a hobby.
100%. Whether I sell the stuff on my social media platforms or I go to shows and sell it, that's my prerogative.
True. I don't think that's I think a lawyer would say that too.
I should have been a lawyer. That's the problem. I dropped out.
Oh, is that what you're going to school for originally?
When I was in South Africa, when I first started and I left high school, I was doing law and I dropped out after like 3 months.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I did conservation instead, but there
and
was
now
a law.
And now you're a dad and making knives.
Yeah. Hey,
sorry, a husband, a dad, and making knives.
Yeah.
In some order.
In some order, somewhere or another.
So you love the spear.
Well, one spear, the Zulu stabbing spear. So it's more of a shortened version. So
is that
so
do you make usable spears?
A usable, functional, everything's absolutely functional. You could take this into battle and it'll work.
I mean, the way things are going, who knows? We might need to go into battle with a spear.
I was ready for the zombies. They would have been easier than some of this crap.
Zombies, no ammo, a spear would be great.
Yeah. So the one thing that really like irritated me a few years ago. So 4 years into my immigration, I go to Blade Show to come and see some of the South African makers who were my friends, Niels and Stuart, Niels van den Berg, Stuart Smith, all of some of those guys. And I walked around the show and it bugged me that I found a knife that didn't like go for my personality.
It didn't you didn't find one that connected you.
Yeah, I just didn't see a knife that screamed, okay, this is an African style knife that is for me.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I saw the same knife on everyone's table.
And so hold on. At that time, did you make knives?
I was like a hobby maker. I'd always been making knives.
How long have you been making knives?
It's now like I've been here 10 years, 17 years.
Okay.
So
you went to Blade and didn't see anything that kind of
didn't see anything I really liked. Like nothing that got me, even from the guys from home. They were making the same stuff everyone else was making. And so I thought, okay, well, I got back from that show and I walked away from a decent job, a company called Restaurant Warehouse.
Yep.
I wasn't a fit, man. I was just knocking heads with the guys there all the time. And
well, I think when you have a strong personality, that's maybe and an opinion.
yeah, well, that it was the opinion. I mean, they were doing something shit that, like, okay, whatever.
Like, come on, guys, come on.
I understand what they're doing. They're chasing dollars. But again,
Sure.
bygones are bygones. I walked out. I made 30 pieces for the local West Palm Beach gun show. I made my monthly salary on a Sunday afternoon. And I said, thank you very much. That's it. I'm going to start doing this stuff.
So when you started knives 17 years ago, did you start with forging or stock removal, or you just do forging?
Ex-girlfriend of mine bought me a stock removal course in South Africa with a maker, Mike Taggart.
Okay.
And after that, I was hooked.
Thank you, ex-girlfriend.
Like, yeah.
At least you got something out of that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, suppose.
So you went, that's interesting. You went to I mean, you probably have always used knives and had knives.
I'd always used tools. My family own a hardware store. So own a couple of stores in the whole of South Africa. But
yeah.
I'd always been using tools. I mean, my dad used to make handmade furniture as his hobby. So I'd always been around stuff that, like a grinder or a planer, or so. Yeah. It just spurred off quite naturally. Plus, knives have always been a thing for me, I guess. Every kid loves a knife. I think
how did you get into spears?
So that comes from a cultural thing. So growing up in 1980 South Africa, we had a mini series with a famous actor, Henry Tsele, called Shaka Zulu. And it was the story of Shaka Zulu.
Okay.
And it's quite an in-depth thing because it's very big in the South African psyche. He has a guy who's an illegitimate son of a chief. He's disregarded by his family. He's left for nothing, and comes back and becomes the king of his people. And he makes the Zulu nation the most powerful and numerous people in the subcontinent of Africa. The history of the country adds to it, because 100 years later, sorry, not even 100 years later, 30 years after him, his brother fights the Boers in the Battle of Blood River, and that's immortalized in their culture, in the Afrikaner cultures. And then 100 years after that, the Zulu are fighting the British in the biggest defeat in the British Royal Defence Force against the native force at the Battle of Isandlwana. So it's like smack bang. And growing up there, you've got to learn the history. And that history was pivotal for our position in the world. Even now, that history is pivotal to that, where we stand in the world.
Sure.
So
what's the difference? Why so in my mind, when I hear, or when I think spear, right? I think spear.
Long. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what Shaka Zulu did is he made what the Greeks call an assegai.
Okay.
So it's a shorter staff, longer blade, pretty much. And he changed the way the spear got used in battle. He changed actually the entire format of battle for most of the African tribes in sub-Saharan Africa. From where they were throwing spears over distances and everyone was going home saying, hey, we won the war, he brought battle into hand-to-hand combat. He devised a whole different strategy and military regiment style, quite like the Roman style.
Yeah.
There were regiments, and each regiment had their own little kraal or homeland. It was quite unique for where it was, but also quite late in the world history, because it had already been done a couple of 100 years before in Europe.
Yeah.
But what they achieved in such a short period of his rule, which was only 38 years, roughly, or 20, just under 30 years. Sorry.
That's life, man. So is that spear that you make, is that more of a like hitting tool, or is it more a stabbing or a throwing, or
more of a stabbing? So it's usually coupled with a very large shield.
Okay.
The shield is used to kind of hook the enemy's defense, whether that be a club or another shield, kind of throwing him off balance, exposing a flank, and then close quarter stabbing. So think of the way the Romans used the gladius. The gladius wasn't used like you see in most of the movies where they swing it around and sword fight with it.
Yeah.
It was close in, shield in, stab, 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 and formations moved forward. Shaka's formation moved forward, but also flanked at the same time. And that's what made them really quite vicious to other African tribes. And what they were able to do was subjugate so many peoples under their banners that the language of the Nguni people, or Zulu language, filtrates throughout the subcontinent. So that's one clear indication how far it actually reached.
That's interesting.
So you see a different aspect of not just one culture in South Africa by one thing that they use in warfare.
Sure.
You see a whole dynamic shift now to what that really did for entire African Nguni people.
Yeah.
Up until Zimbabwe, which is a huge land.
So that spear is specifically for
Nguni, well, Zulu
combat.
Well, it said that the Shaka Zulu created it. That's the written record. The oral record is he was introduced to it by somebody who he met, who came from the north.
Okay.
So it's kind of skewed because we see this weapon in various different parts throughout Africa. We see it in Congo, we see it in West Africa, in the Yoruba, and in Nigeria with those with tribal contents there. We see it with the Maasai in Kenya. So it kind of gets you wondering: is the history we taught correct, or is there far more that we don't really understand?
Well, I think sometimes the history is not just what's contained in the written word. You know what I mean? Like it just might be bigger, much bigger than that. All right. So you sell a spear to me.
Yeah.
What is your typical customer doing with that spear?
So a lot of the guys are guys who appreciate where the memory it gives them. So a lot of my client base is South Africans or people who have frequented Africa or Southern Africa.
Okay.
So that's a big draw for me because I have the database of my travel businesses. So there's a lot of clients that I deal with in that respect that know I do this and they want artwork for their homes, or they want a cool gift for one of their friends or something like that.
Okay.
The next thing is also bringing back something that's forgotten, man. Like,
sure.
I look at some of the guys in our industry, some of the like Mark McCoon and all of that, and makers of things that are not just knives. And I'm not tired of knives. I love knives, but there's no Steve in them.
Yeah.
And people who know me from way back when will remember I used to dress up in this shit as a kid. And I used to run around playing freaking Zulu Warrior all day long. So
nice. Well, so you feel connected more to the spear than you do to a knife.
I feel like it keeps my identity. I feel like I don't lose my identity in an industry and a country that can happen like that.
All right. So you forge. Yeah. What is that called? Is that called the spear, or is there like a specific name for it?
They call it an ikwa.
Ikwa.
Ikwa. So
I ain't getting that right.
the click. So yeah, well, equa.
Okay.
For simple terms. And the reason is for the sound that it makes in battle. Now, most of the things that Zulus name in their language come from the sounds that they make.
Okay.
So the ikwa goes into its enemy. It says ik. When it comes out, there's a suction sound that says wa.
Oh, fuck.
So, then the club that they use, they call that iwisa. Because when it hits your head, the blood goes isa.
Oh, okay.
So to understand the nuances of the language gives you a whole different aspect to then the weaponry and then the story of that weaponry.
Right.
And then why was it used in the fashions they were used in? Everything here was not just to defend them against other people, it was hunting tools.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask is, so being in Florida, we have a lot of like, when I see that spear, I think of hog hunting and specifically with dogs, and either you have like a big pig sticker, like a bigger knife, or maybe has anyone used them for that?
Well, the guys up here in Loxahatchee, there's one guy I think I make 14 a month for him, but I do them simple. I forge out the blade.
Yeah.
It goes into the shaft. I then tie that with either hemp or resin and hemp. And then either I give him a steel cable over that, and then he goes. But
well, so that one you have right there looks fancy.
Yeah, well, it would do the job. I mean, the tang's running 6 inches down, roughly. Okay. So, I mean, and the wood on there is ebony. So, I mean, it's going to take some abuse before it's going to break. The thing with a hog is going to run up this thing. I mean, once that blade goes in and it pushes in, it's going in with the weight of that.
So he uses them for hog hunting, or he sells them?
No, he uses them himself. He's got a property up here in Loxahatchee, and he keeps having a problem with these big things. I've been on 2 hunts with him. We did one, I think, 2018.
Did you use one of your spears?
Yeah.
Oh, I think how was that?
Yeah, it's not the first time I've hunted with a spear. I've done it back home. So yeah, it was fun. I can't say it wasn't fun.
That's on one of my lists.
What surprised me is how quick it was, because I went in here, and the blade was quite broad at the base, and once that point went through, it was just straight through to the other side, like a whoop.
Really?
Like whoop.
So, well, okay, so it had to have been sharp.
Yeah.
Are all of the knives that you or spears that you sell sharp?
I ask the customer's request if he wants to use it, if he wants to display it. I'd like to send everyone out sharp, but sometimes I deal with guys. Sorry, I'm just gonna grab a charger quickly. There's some guys that I deal with are military recreation groups.
Sure.
So it's kind of hard to do bladed edges with them.
Gotcha. Well, and if you're going to be displaying it at your house, you don't want to be like you don't want the maid or someone to be cleaning it and it like falls and like cuts your arm off.
Yeah, and well, yeah, there's that aspect to it. Honestly, like for me, really, like it's how authentic you want to go.
Sure.
Truth be told, the historical ones are not really sharp. Truth be told, and they weren't really made from great steel.
Whatever you got is what they were is kind of what they were using.
Not even that. They didn't even know how to make iron to steel at that point. They were only dealing with raw form pig iron.
Okay.
So, or wrought iron, so they weren't great quality weapons to begin with, but they were effective.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What steels do you work with on all your creations now?
Right now, look, I usually base everything on mono steel. I've gone off Damascus. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I can bang away and I can blend it. I can twist it. I understand it. It's beautiful. I don't get the same feeling in the end result as I do from taking a 3/4 inch round bar and banging out a spear. Yeah, like so.
I don't really have a love for Damascus in general, so it doesn't.
I see the skill, and I see the skill of the smith, and I see
the no. There's a lot of skill. I just don't. It's a personal thing.
But I just don't like what it does for my work.
Yeah. So what steels do you use?
So 5160, 1085, 80 CRV, 8670, which I'm loving that 8670.
8670. Okay, that's a carbon steel?
Yeah, high carbon. Okay. I get it from Pop's Knife Supply, but I love Pop's.
Yeah.
But the stuff is just so easy under the hammer. Get it some good heat, and it's just like butter.
Nice.
And it's a foolproof heat treat, absolutely foolproof. And you get a quality product.
Do you do all of your heat treats there?
Yeah, in-house at home. I've got an older Genken oven.
Okay.
And I've got my 3 sets of forges, depending what size I'm going for in the heat treat.
Nice.
But yeah,
what other materials do you work with?
Just my anvil and 2 other grinders, a couple of carving tools. Like I've got 2 Fordhams and Dremel.
Well, I see sometimes we'll look at some of your on your Facebook, but I've seen some carvings. Do you do those carvings yourself?
So a lot of times, no, I don't. A lot of times I actually cast mold them. So I got introduced to doing these resin molds.
Don't stab the dog.
No. She's good. She's good. She knows where the point goes. So I did some work for a few Hollywood pictures.
Let's see that. Bring that up to the screen again. Let me see again. I enlarged it. Let's see.
Sorry. So it's a baboon holding his mouth, basically.
How do you make that?
So originally, it's a wooden figurine that you buy at the curio markets in South Africa, and then I cast it in dental resin in the silicone mold.
Yeah.
And then we'll just pour casting resin and reinforcing powder.
That's wild.
Yeah, it comes out with a stable product that's takes massive abuse. And it gives me like a natural effect depending on the colors, the color powders I mix.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's also a way I can mass produce.
Interesting. Yeah, because if you had to hand carve each one of them, I would
that's how it began. That's how it began, was hand carving a lot of the stuff.
Really?
And it just, sometimes I do it. There are a few things I do.
Is that actually fur on there?
Yeah.
What kind of fur is that?
Rabbit.
Okay.
Actually from
it's local cat.
Yeah, rabbit, and that's a black cow skin. And then the hemp and resin. That hemp is like so underappreciated in our industry.
I think it's underappreciated in general.
But once you soak it in that resin and you bind it on something, it's never. You got to burn it off.
So do you now? You don't only like if someone wanted you to make a knife, you'll still do it.
Yeah, of course.
You don't feel it doesn't have your full passion.
Look, Blade Show taught me something this year. I went to Blade Show this year. I had 15 spears and I had 7 knives. And my spears were sold out by 11 p.m. on Saturday.
And what are your spears run?
300 to, depending on the artwork on them, 500.
Okay.
And that's shipping included.
Okay.
I'll ship within that price.
And then, so what about the knives? Did you sell those at?
Well, some of my dealers took the knives because it's easier for them to sell that.
Sure.
So a lot of my dealers came and took the knives. So I went home with Blade Show with, I think, one spear that was put on display for African custom knives. And everything else that I bought at Blade Show, pretty much.
Oh, so you sold everything and then you bought things and brought it back.
I bought a few more things and came over.
How did you think Blade Show, which is a knife show, for those of you who don't know, that's in Atlanta. It's at the beginning of June. How did you feel about it this year? Because last year was canceled.
Different show. It was without the rest of the world there. It was a different show. It was still good for the industry.
Oh, sure. I think it was needed.
Yeah. I think a lot of us needed to see each other. That was one aspect of it. But I think the turnout where it was in Atlanta was strong.
Okay. I see. Most people have said that it was good, that they quality makers, that they sold out or that they mostly sold out. And then I had a couple of people tell me that it just wasn't the same.
It depends on what you sell.
Yeah.
It depends on what you sell and how you slot into the industry.
Oh, that's life. I'm on a video call, Mom. No,
we're doing this. We had a flood and we're doing a renovation. So.
Nice.
So
you make knives, you make spears, and do you make the clubs as well, or what else do you make?
Well, I can make the clubs.
I think I've seen them before, right?
Yeah, I do have the facility to make the clubs, but I'd rather bring in the real product, the real thing.
From Africa.
And it helps me help people I know there. I buy from a local guy in Limpopo, South Africa, African gentleman. And everything I buy from him, I know helps him and his family. And I've known him for years. So he sources me some of the stuff, some of the artworks, some of the sticks and all of that stuff. Tell
me about that one. What kind of wood is that?
Okay, so that's actually local to Florida. Okay. It's I found them at in St. Augustine. I think it's like what they call it St. Augustine oak.
Okay.
But they hardened beautifully, and just the coloring looked right for what I was seeing.
I think that looks awesome. That looks like a more simple one? Is that something that someone was going to use for hunting or?
More that's again the same design, the shortened stabbing spear. It's running about 38 inches overall, so it's not too long. He's a bit longer at 42 inches.
Okay.
And that's
it looks
solid
bigger
hickory.
too.
Yeah, that's solid hickory. I mean that weighs a fair amount. So that was the blade for that other one.
For the bigger one?
Yeah, for the heavy one.
For that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a start of one, and unfortunately, I didn't let it set enough on the tang, and I didn't drop it in enough. So I took it out and started again.
Gotcha.
So there are a few in there that. So yeah, those are the two monkeys. Two monkeys out of the resin on the top corner there.
This here in the top.
Yeah. So giving you two sizes. So the Zulu had almost like 200 different types of spears.
Uh-huh. Do they typically, for the ones that went into war, have?
They would typically, a Zulu warrior, depending on the regiment they were in and what side of the flank they were on, would depict on what they would be armed with. So they would generally be armed with 2 throwing type spears,
Okay.
2 longer type spears, and then 2 shorter stabbing spears, and then their 2 clubs. Bear in mind, this is an army that runs everywhere barefoot. There's no horses, there's no elephants, they ran everywhere. So everything had to be lightweight.
That's awesome.
So,
wow.
That was actually that picture there was actually one order.
Really? What is someone going to do with all those?
So that went to a South African dance studio in Atlanta that I met at Blade Show.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And then the actor in the middle there, the picture there is Henry Tsele, the actor who played the Shaka Zulu in the miniseries.
Is that a little bone?
Yeah, ostrich bone.
An actual bone?
Yeah, ostrich.
Do you have to stabilize something like that?
Well, you buy it from Jans. It comes from a guy, Nico Bernard, in South Africa. It's all pre-stabilized and everything there, so it can be shipped here. So that's one of my hand carvings, the little rhino.
That's awesome.
Time consuming, man.
I have to say this, man. The jawbone knives, whether it's something like that or in resin, freak me out. I don't know why. It just freaks me out, man.
Yeah. John Cohere. Shame John's not doing too well. But John, when I first saw those type of knives from him with the copper and the sinew, it resonated something really, really epic with me a couple of years ago. And I reached out to him on Facebook and we had a whole big chat about it. And yeah, I was glad I was able to get to speak to him.
What's that one on top?
So it's a little bush type cookery. I call it a bush type cookery. You guys call it a recurve. And it's got crocodile skin.
Okay, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, I had a crocodile skin on my last 2015. I did a crocodile hunt in South Africa, and the skin was ready for me in 2018. So I've just been using it to make handles or sheaths or something like that. So that's the whole.
Oh, hold on, you got muted. There you go.
Sorry. You there?
I can hear you, but it's low.
Give me a second.
Oh, it's coming back.
Are we good?
Oh, perfect.
All righty.
So what is that?
So that's the shield, the Zulu cowskin shield, and then one of the short stabbing spears and one of the throwing spears behind it.
So I would have gone into battle with something like that.
Pretty much, if you were the Zulu.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, they were crazy, man. They were blessed by their witch doctors. They were given narcotics to make them go crazy and go into battle. They believed they were invincible. So after Blade Show, I've just been totally infatuated with this weapon because I've been doing a lot of research for it for this dance group and a couple of the other museums that I've been making for. So I've been seeing a lot of research on them from other tribes as well, and it's really starting to show in the hammer. So
you tell me about this. You supply the spears to, what do they do with them? Display them?
Social media is an amazing thing, dude. These museums and guys have got, and art galleries have seen me, and they order and they buy. So
That's
I want to keep making, and that's my business. So I don't ask questions. And yeah, it's not my job to ask the questions. It's just my job to make the shit.
I think that's awesome. That's unique. Do they give you credit, or do they just display it?
No, always. There's always credit, but it's credit within their fields.
Sure.
So the Museum of Sussex, where the 24th Regiment, they've got a museum there. And they, for the ones that fought the Zulu in the Battle of Isandlwana, I've got 6 spears on display in their museum, and that's a huge honor for me. So that was great. So each of those spears have got my Zulu shield emblem, and it's got my name and my plaque as the maker, and it's great. I've sent to Moscow, to the National Museum of Military History in Moscow.
Yeah?
Yeah, Russian. Like,
that's awesome.
So
what
I don't want to.
Oh, we got muted again.
Oh no, not
oh, you're back.
I don't want to say I'll just make the same knife.
Do you kind of, would you say that each and every single one thing that you create, obviously because it's forged, but they're basically all completely different?
Always. Nothing reacts the same.
How long does it take you to make one of your typical spears? Days, weeks?
Just give me sorry, I just have to do something quickly. Sorry.
No, you're okay. Let's look at some of his other stuff.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Take your time. We're going to look at your pictures while you
when the boss calls, I have to answer.
Oh, believe me, I know that.
Just hold on. I've got to go get my kids soon. Oh, well. Anyway, but each one is different, yes. Do I try and keep them similar? Yes. Would I like to see more continuity in what I do? Yes. But I'm not going to fight if it doesn't happen.
Gotcha.
That's why knives bother me, because a lot of times I'll get orders for a series of 8 knives and I've got to make the same thing. Then I'm a printer. I'm not a knife maker.
You damn princess. He's like, I don't want to make the same thing.
Yeah.
I want to be creative.
But again, the spears, no one else is doing them. I mean, there's myself and Hilton Rutherford in South Africa, and there's not even a Zulu that makes them anymore for them. So in some way, I think I'm just like relighting a fire and keeping that going.
Well, talking about that is, so you do classes as well, or you did do classes?
Well, when I had my biggest shop before pre-COVID, I was teaching. Now I was doing a like a 1-day knife course, or a 3-day advanced course where you would make a knife and a spear. And it was quite comprehensive. It was rewarding. Teaching was very rewarding.
But since COVID, you haven't done any classes.
Again, I moved everything back at home, and I'd rather not, create too much attention.
Yeah, Steve's got 10 people in his garage over here.
Yeah,
that's a real good
garage.
That's a good real way.
Temperature would be.
Yeah, that's a good way to piss off the neighbors in the HOA.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
Well, I mean, I think that we've seen some. I do have a question about this. What's this?
Oh, so that's a sjambok whip.
Oh, wow.
a whip. It's called a sjambok, sjambok.
And what is
So
it used for?
originally used for herding cattle, but in apartheid South Africa, the police used to carry them.
Oh,
and
I wouldn't want to get that whipped up on my back.
Vicious little thing there.
Well, all right. So tell me how. So we've seen your stuff. I'll provide links to your stuff
Facebook,
below.
Facebook, Instagram's cool.
If people want to get a hold of you, is that which one's the best? Facebook, Instagram, either one?
Either or. I'm more responsive on Facebook. Just the platform accesses me to the right demographic of people that appreciate my work more so than Instagram.
It does. Yep.
And it becomes more of a personal platform. I get to tell stories. I get to add something to the post. Right now, what I'm trying to do is just show the different cultures of the different African tribes in the spheres. Okay. Just showing the nuances that I'm trying to show in my work to my market to see if that's another way I get to reignite something.
Well, I think you're pretty good on camera. You look good. I think that I think that providing that education in words is good, but it could even be better if you showed off your work. Yeah. I know it's a pain in the butt and you feel like you got to edit stuff and that kind of stuff, but people like
generally the only reason is my shop is too damn dirty.
Okay. All right. Well, then do it in the living room, man.
Yeah, something like that. I'll figure something out.
Okay. Well, just because we're becoming this society that doesn't want to read or look at pictures, we want to see the video of it.
100%.
So,
100%.
Well, hey, man, listen.
But that also gets me down to the demographic of person I'm really looking for.
The ones that want to read the words.
And somebody who appreciates a written word.
True. I mean, what made me think of it is with this, with these two spears and the whip, is that there's a paragraph that obviously you put time and effort into that I didn't even really know was there.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go back and read some of these and look at them and kind of appreciate that. I think that what you're doing is awesome. I think it's unique. And if you can make money at it, or at least have fun with it, that's all that really matters.
It proved to me there was a niche there. And
yeah. Well, so tell one last question. Where do you see yourself going? Are you going to go to Blade in June?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. I'll see you there.
I see myself heading up to St. Augustine.
Okay.
That part of Florida, getting some land, setting up more of the teaching.
Did you really enjoy that?
I should start my ABS program next year. I just still don't think I'm ready.
You don't think you're ready, or you?
I'm my own worst enemy. I should just dive in and do it.
Well, hold on. Talking about this, I don't think we mentioned that you were on Forged in Fire.
No, my claim to shame. Oi.
I don't think people actually realize.
Well, no, because my episode aired on day 3 of shut down the world. So...
I'm gonna try to find that and put it in the link below.
Yeah, season 7, episode 24.
7, episode 24?
Yeah.
Write that down. Season what?
Season 7, episode 24.
All right. Well, hey, Steve, listen, I appreciate your time, man. I think it's awesome that we met through Shadow Warriors, and then I was walking past your table at Blade one year, and you were like, "Hey, Eugene," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah. Oh,
and,
no.
And this really cheery, really like super muscular and skinny guy was like, "Hey," in this South African accent. I was like, "Oh, this guy's awesome." So I appreciate it, brother, and good luck with everything that you're doing, man. Oh, we lost him. Back. Let's see. I don't know. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much. Steve was awesome. It was great to get it to interview him. I think he has a unique perspective on not only what he's doing, but where he came from. And we didn't even get into kind of his history with the military and that kind of stuff. But thank you so much for watching. Check out the links below. Have a great day, guys.